Okay, I lied. I have more to say. Of course I have more to say. All I have is things to say, and no one to listen to me. No offense, subscribers. You know, it's not like we know each other personally. Let's be real about that. I need a woman in my life. And that's part of my frustration, is because the culture is not providing that. Even though I met a really nice woman in the woods today. You know, I'm so, you know, burdened with heartbreak. And because of the response and the pee-pee slapping that's been happening, and the torture because of, you know, my court case isn't being resolved within a reasonable amount of time. And then the other charge wants to bury me before I even get started as an engineer. I'm not going to talk about the rest of it. But here's the thing, is that generational attitudes towards millennials is a fucking problem. And like, I'm going to talk about my parents here for a second, because that is the issue that I have. I've never really had a good relationship with my dad. And my mother fought for me so hard over all the years against my dad, who wanted to kick me out of the house at 17 or 18 years old, or whatever it was. Oh, that'll do him some good. But, you know, I was a damaged child. I was on the outside. I walked laps around the yard at St. Jude's because I didn't feel like anyone wanted to pay attention to me and wanted to be friends with me. I had some playmates, right? But I was always on the outside, looking in. And I can see through you. I can see your true colors. And inside you're ugly, just like me. You know, my parents weren't always evil. But we sometimes, actually quite frequently, we live long enough to become what we hated. And we can't stand the confrontation of belief and fantasy versus reality and objectivity. What is real? What is concrete? I'm super energized and I'm pissed because my friend flaked earlier, you know? And because, you know, other people aren't maintaining discipline. When I am trying to set I'm trying to get some fucking work done here. And, okay, so maybe it's method acting. Well, here's the thing, again, no one told me to make art, okay? No one told me that I should go across the country and find myself through my work. No one told me what to do after a certain point in time. Because, frankly, you don't need to tell a good person what to do. They already know what to do. You know, and after being brought up from birth within Christianity, you know, why can't I get some fucking respect here? The fact that I have to chastise my own father, and have been for years, like I said this morning because of the interruption last night. When you're ready to pull your head out of the sand, come talk to me. Because you have not respected me ever since I came back from university. My dropout and the financial irresponsibility of youth. Or the drinking. I am so sick and tired of the attitudes and the childish nature of my opponents. Because they just don't want to face reality. They want to live in this fantasy world, this never land. My grandparents are dead. Most of the First World War, veterans, except for a small handful of them, are all dead. And soon enough, all the veterans from the Second World War will be dead too. And all that knowledge, all that the cultural values will go with them. Everything they knew, everything they honored and they cherished, like tears in the rain, or a fucking spray in the wave, or spray in the ocean. That'd be better. Good, yeah. And like, I've made lots of sacrifices in my life. And things have not been the same. I might have mentioned this before. Ever since COVID, and my parents got divorced. Now, I'm not going to talk about the circumstances, but nonetheless, the pressures of, delayed gratification, right? I wouldn't be here without my parents. I wouldn't be in this house without my family support, even though they try to kick me out. Try to put me in the psych ward. Actually put me in the psych ward for standing up for myself and being vocal, because I'm not being listened to and I'm not being heard. And these things, not being listened to, not being heard, are motivational factors for suicidal ideation and depression and anxiety and bipolar disorder and whatever else. Is not just chemical, because the chemical is a result of the behavior. Right? By my example in behavioral modification and delayed gratification, which was taught to me by my mother at a very young age. My parents weren't always evil. They were once, we were once as a family, with our ignorance, one of the leading Christian families within the London area and within drug and rehab and ministry and dealing with disabled people. So, I have lots of reasons to be angry as someone who's been around so many vulnerable people and seen the exploitations and the attitudes towards them. And then towards me for being associated with that. It's not about the money. Oh, but it is about the money. It's always about the money. When I came back from Kelowna, and I had my meltdown, I had a fucking Bruce nuclear moment at Kelowna Flightcraft. But I had the decency to walk away. Every single time, it's like people are trying to bait me into a physical confrontation so they have a reason to charge me and put me in jail and then not have to think about me anymore. And not have to worry about me anymore. And not have to deal with how smart I am. This is my parents' bed. My father didn't want to sleep in it anymore. I'm in the master bedroom for a reason, because I am the last male Steele of my generation that doesn't have a family. It doesn't have a girlfriend. I have a responsibility to my bloodline and to my legacy to do something about that. I sacrificed my bed, the mattresses, right? Threw them out. I put the bed frame, the bed frame's like 80 or 90 years old. Nice, solid pieces of wood that I've taken across the country to Toronto. Well, I say to Toronto, right? And they both came from Toronto. Both of my parents came from Toronto, from Downsview and North York, Mount St. Denis. And they didn't come from wealth. They came from lower middle class families. And my grandmother on my dad's side, as a Québécois, une femme de Québécois, my grandmère, she would have faced a lot of prejudice and a lot of challenges as a native Québécois speaker within Toronto. You imagine having to learn another language when there's no other way to learn it except to talk to people? I have nothing but time on my hands right now. And some people will be like, oh, you deserve it. You deserve it. You should have all the time in the world. We love that you're in a digital prison. You're so entertaining. It's so delightful to see the pain of someone else in their face. I sacrificed my life and love and relationships to be as smart and as skilled as I am. So when people don't believe me and don't listen to me, I get angry. The hypocrisy of religious people is one of the reasons why we have world conflicts in the first place. I'm not going to jump on the John Lennon boat or bandwagon, with Imagine. Well, I ain't imagining the dragons, okay? The dragons are real. And they're bearded. I don't have time to waste other people's time. And so my YouTube channel is exactly that, even if it's hard to digest at times. It's hard to watch. But you know what? Life is fucking hard. So harden the fuck up and learn to cope with these problems and lean on other people. Just try to find a solution instead of giving up. Because I would walk myself. I would walk 63 kilometers in one night just to get home to see the woman that I loved. Only for her to scream at me on the phone. And hitchhike, a quarter away, not a quarter away, like an eighth of the way across a province. It's like 300 some odd kilometers from here to Wyerton, where my mother's parents retired. And you know what? My grandpa and my grandma slept in separate beds. That whole 50s, early, not 50s, but early 20th century mentality. Because that's the way it was. People didn't sleep together before that, except for warmth. Or unless they were poor. Oh, let's push the beds together tonight, honey. Oh, 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 oh. My father spent a lot of money on educating us as children, trying to prepare us with extracurriculars and whatnot. But the thing that my father missed, or probably out of paralysis after a certain point, and fear of the intelligent and the capable. Now, if I'm going to burn or I'm going to talk about my siblings, my eldest sister, You know, I've always been disappointed by her. I've always been disappointed that she didn't keep going towards being a veterinarian. But she didn't want to do it because she said, oh, you just spend so much of your time putting animals down. And I love animals too much. Or Natalie. Natalie, you know, has a theology degree, for fuck's sakes, from Master's Seminary College. She is a minister with the PAOC here in Canada. I don't know if that's still current. But she doesn't want to be involved with it. She doesn't want to do ministry. She doesn't want to play instruments anymore. Because the hypocrisy of religious people. And because of how backstabby we became. Fighting over scraps. And the paralysis of facing the Leviathan. You know, this Medusa that that they didn't know how to deal with. Because we couldn't even look ourselves in the mirror as Christians. These fights over sexual orientation and transgenderism and utopia. Or fruitopia, if we're gonna talk about gay elitism in this video. Everyone thinks they know you. But no one wants to sit down and talk to you. You know, that's why I like meeting women in the forest. I like meeting women where I'm doing the activity, and as I've communicated with my friends, trying to rehab them from isolation, frankly, and from ideological hate. Which is not an easy job, okay? It's not easy. It caused me a lot of nerve-wracking moments. Having to deal with someone that has OCD and poor judgment, poor impulse control. But sometimes that's how you save a life. Keep someone around. How come he's not working as an aircraft mechanic? How come he doesn't have multiple income streams? How come he didn't put the simple path to wealth into practice? How come he didn't listen to the art of the deal? I did. And now I suffer the consequences of having that knowledge. And you, up there, looking down at me from your positions of power, laughing at me while I struggle. You don't need to be obnoxious when you have true power. Because true power is not obnoxious. It is benevolent. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not boastful. The Beatitudes, right? So what the fuck do I know? I know it's a paradox. I don't want this channel, I don't want this YouTube to get too large. Because of the sensitive information, you know, and the fact that I expose the people close to me, including my extended family, which are multiple times over millionaires. But because of their fear, their anxiety, and their inability to adapt to the post-internet epoch, they just want to live with their heads in the sand. Oh, if I just keep steady plodding, oh, yeah, everything will be fine. You know, but, you know, again, I have to forgive my father and forgive my mother and my sister, even me, right? We've all had head injuries, you know? I was a downhill mountain biker. Even as a mountain biker, you still have the chance to be thrown off or whatever else. But I'm here to tell the tale. You know, I'm pretty sure I had an aneurysm or some sort of event that caused me to start stuttering again, even after medicinal and therapeutic use of magic mushrooms. You know, I don't want to. MDMA worked for another dude who has chronic PTSD. But, I don't want to touch the street drugs because, I've already been through that. I've already been close enough to that stuff to know I can't trust it. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired at this very moment. I've been working since I was a child. And I got I have things to show for it. I have, every single one of these paintings is not just an accomplishment, but a monument to my dedication to the craft. I have dozens of aircraft flying around right now, or on a tarmac somewhere, that have my handiwork in them. I've worked on government aircraft. I've worked on private jets for millionaires and billionaires. And yet still, I have to fight the fucking tech bros. Well, you tech bros, okay, and tech sisters, you're not the boss of me. You can suck my fucking dick. Because you're not giving me enough respect as an artist, as a person. Because everyone wants to tear you down. They all want to smother you before you even get started. But that shows your insecurity. That shows your immaturity. And it shows you're not ready for leadership. I lay here because I don't want to play video games anymore. It just seems like a waste of time. I'm thinking up of what else can I say? What else can I do? And not be frustrated. Or not encounter the limitations of my body. Because if I didn't have these injuries, these sports injuries, I would walk to Petawawa. I would walk. It might take me 3 days, 3 or 4 days, but I would do it. Just to prove a fucking point. This is my life. This is my home. This is my country. This is my profession. This is my passion. Even though I say I don't necessarily like doing these videos. Because it's a black mirror, right? It's a whole narcissistic, psychopathic interaction. May ye without sin cast the first stone at the stoner, while using a stoner to hurl lead. St. Valentine's Day Massacre sort of thing. Gangster street justice. Vigilante social idiots. I'll keep on pressing that button, because it didn't go away. Just because the terminology fell out of vogue. I've done enough psychedelics to know that there's no more answers in drugs. And it didn't take that many sessions to figure that out. So what's next, right? Well, if you promote your boss, you should get promoted, right? That's only fair. And then, imagine what I could be doing right now with the motivation and the purpose to do it. The task and the purpose to do it. Because otherwise I'll just lay here, like I've said in other videos, and just be another talking head on YouTube. Full of empty promises and broken dreams. You know, someone took me out on the football field when I was doing tryouts from the side. My neck fucking grinds on itself. And I've survived concussive events, obviously, because of, well, downhill mountain biking. And this is why I forgive my father and why I forgive my sister. Because my father has hockey head. And he's getting older, more stubborn, and more hardened. Because he doesn't have his woman anymore. And my sister sacrificed her life in helping and treating other people in Korea. For years. 5 or 6 years she did that. Only to witness the decay and the entropy that was caused by sexual exploitation, gay elitism, as I've indicated with the 4A movement in Korea, and transgenderism. And why am I being punished? Because I don't like homosexuality. And I don't like what they've done to me and what they've done to other people to establish themselves as the new aristocracy. I grew up around, well, with the privilege, you know, again, family still paid the price. Family still paid the price. Around extremely vulnerable people, so recovering drug addicts. So that means murderers, assaulters, and other convicts. I don't need other people to tell me what to do. But just because, you know, because I'm a freaking Boy Scout, or because I turned down my commission to be a lieutenant, to be an officer cadet, and then a lieutenant, get into the forces through the back door, get my pilot's license that way. But you know what? Burnout is real. And as I get older, I have less and less tolerance for fucking bullshit. And I have less and less time for pretentious, diminutive elitism. When you look down on someone. I know it's hard to believe, right? But I've spent the equivalent of a month or two, and I'm getting off easy in comparison to to the guys that are aircraft mechanics and they're tank rats or whatever, and they're in these confined spaces every day. You have to be in a confined space to be in production, say within Bombardier or whatever. So much you still have to do installations for fuel transfer tubes inside the wings or whatever else. But people still don't believe me, or they don't want to support me in the way that I need, because of the greed and the gluttony and the convenience that we've become accustomed to, and because of the status and the position that we rise to, and that we're afraid to lose. But I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not afraid, out of feigned, I had some feigned weakness in order to fit into any kind of social construct or culture, right? You have to hide your intelligence, because otherwise people get so freaking intimidated that they try to destroy you, and with slings and arrows behind your back. And I know this happens. And it doesn't take much. It's just a simple rejection is all it takes for people to hate you. And again, we live in the post-internet epoch. And I don't feel like I'm the most attractive person right now, even though I got a fucking six-pack, some killer pecs, and some nice shoulders, right? But I only achieve these things. I know you might be looking at my tits, because the estrogen that's put into the milk gives men gynecomastia. How much we push, how much we run to the hilt. This brink, the lemmings. That's who we are. We're lemmings. And we don't care, as long as, we'll follow this guy right off the cliff. Follow that person right off the cliff. Because loyalty is a double-edged sword, just like ambition. It's like riding a unicycle over a unicycle on a tightrope over a valley of razor blades. So now it's time to get papered up. If you provide a solution, the money comes afterwards. Because I could be doing so much more. I have so many ideas for art projects, businesses. I could have been a multi-millionaire 3 or 4 times over since university. If only people were open and were, accepting enough of a new idea, of a new thing, in order to adopt it and then to nurture it, right? And then bring it to the foreground. I am so disgusted by the paranoia and the greed of other people. So here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to forgive your enemy. Do that for yourself right now. Say to yourself, I forgive my enemies. I forgive my exes. I forgive the people who have trespassed against me. And I will not be led into temptation. And, money's the root of all evil. I'm not asking for much. And I eschew a lot of these companies, these middlemen, these escrows, for a reason. Because of what they've done to other people with cancel culture. It's only reasonable and just to have conscientious objection and moral obligation to boycott these particular organizations that use their resources to kill the human spirit and to kill people for real. So just look at my track record, and you'll see that in my heart, I'm special forces. In reality, I'm not. I'm not a soldier, right? I turned my back on the military. That's how they feel. Otherwise, they would have let me in 2016 or 2015, whatever it was. Don't hold a grudge. Don't seek revenge. Because you'll end up deaf, dumb, and blind, rich, and alone. I forgive my father, but I will inherit his sins. And so will you. You know, the things that we don't look after, we don't address head on, and that we don't take initiative of, and take control, and take control of the downing aircraft after, say, the captain passes out, in order to let everyone else survive. I'm not going down with this ship. And I didn't necessarily know what I was doing at the beginning. But you know what? I will die with honor and dignity, knowing that I'm on the right side of history. So say we all. All for one. And one for all. Because that's all it takes. All it takes is 10 people. Isn't that right, Joe? 10 well-trained people to take over an entire city. You know what? It only takes 10 people. Or 12 people, 12 disciples. Because again, the Holy Bible, the Bible, if read correctly, is a manual for covert operations. And that's why Christians make such good agents. And the history of the CIA is full of hardcore Christians, of dignity, honor, and righteous pride. Pride goeth before the fall of man, or pride goes before the fall. So you know what? I would just appreciate your help, however it is, if you get this far into this video. I need help. I need your help. And if you do decide to help me, thank you. I love you. I hope someone else said that to you recently. And that someone will love you for who you are. And you'll deserve the person that you find. And that you will find peace in your own life. Not because of the other person, but because of their presence. We can't find solace in objects or materialism or spirituality, right? Because too much spirituality in the whole worshiping routine, the rituals, that in itself becomes sacrilegious. Because God doesn't want us to spend our entire lives worshiping Him or her, whatever you believe. If I was God, that's how I would feel. Go live your life. And let me live mine. Amen. Come on. Focus, you fuck.